I'm Pat Collins. Welcome to Criminal Justice Matters. In producing this program, we're fortunate to draw from an extraordinary pool of experts from the John Jay faculty. But you're more likely to meet today's guest in and around the John Jay pool, the swimming pool, that is. Our guest is Dr. Jane Katz, a professor in the Department of Athletics and Physical Education and director of the aquatic program here at John Jay. On this edition, we'll learn not only about Jane's work at John Jay, but how, in its ever-expanding linkages to the criminal justice arena, through the help, guidance, and inspiration of Dr. Jane Katz, even the swimming pool has an impact on the criminal justice system. Dr. Katz, welcome. Dr. Katz, I had planned to start off talking to you about your work at John Jay College, and instead you walked in here with a picture of something called the swimming Katz family. So tell us about that first. We'll get to John Jay in a moment.
Well, Pat, it all goes back to the hood, the Lower East Side, 50 fun-filled years ago. And this is a picture of my family, my father who nearly drowned and has been teaching swimming for life at Pitt Street Pool in the summer is where we were. And these youngsters in the pool prospered through my family's tutelage, much like the youngsters that we teach here at John Jay.
So you started, this is what got you into the world of swimming, and for just a brief bit, tell us about how your journey to John Jay evolved.
I started swimming at a very early age in the Lower East Side, did well, won the local Daily Mirror meets, which were, you know, newspapers from a long time ago, Journal American, and then Park Department facilities, which still are alive and well. Went to City College, NYU, and then Columbia. And I wanted to teach swimming from the age of 7.
I want to interrupt. So what made you such a good swimmer?
My father and mother taught me before I could walk. I'm the Calamity Jane. I'm very comfortable on land. I mean, in the water, excuse me.
Be careful. You can pick up nicknames in this
right.
Very easy.
And so in the water, I felt graceful. I was fast. I was a little chubby kid, and the swimming helped to change that a bit during my youth. And although there were no women's sports at the time, because Title IX was way far away in the 40s, I began swimming competitively, did well, and actually became the youngest member of the Maccabea swimming team just, again, 50 years ago.
Tell us a little bit more about that. I'm familiar with it. Most people are not. What does that mean?
The Maccabea Games are also termed the Jewish Olympics. People of the Jewish faith from all over the world compete, and it is the second largest competition after the Olympics, and then the Pan American Games are followed. In fact, this past December, I was just in Argentina for the Pan Am Masters Maccabea Games. And so big babies compete at every age. You
can say Calamity Jane, but there aren't many Calamity Janes who can say they participated in the Olympics. Tell us about that. It's quite an accomplishment.
1964, I had just finished my BS degree in City College. The new hire was a wonderful women's synchronized coach. I taught her to speak English. She taught me synchronized swimming. And I became local, state, regional, you know, and nationally ranked. And when they picked the performance team, the demonstration team for synchronized swimming, 20 years before it actually became an Olympic sport, I was part of that.
Amazing story. You know, you're at a college of criminal justice, however. How did that happen?
Well, after going to my undergraduate and then starting my graduate work, I wanted to teach swimming, and I wanted to stay in New York.
I don't mean to put you on the defensive in saying that. That's in swimming.
But I started at Bronx Community College, which was the then Old Bronx High School of Science building. Went to Jacobi Hospital, and then finally the NYU campus became the mainstay at Bronx Community for a quarter of a century. 25 years later, one of my colleagues at Columbia, who is Dr. Larkin, our chair for many, many years, invited me to help open the new pool at John Jay College, which was just opening in the late 80s, which sounded wonderful. I was sort of on loan at CUNY, and I've opened many of the other pools in the CUNY system, and I've never left. It's been great. A lot of work, a lot of hard work, but it was a fabulous opportunity to just expand the program.
Now, John Jay College is, and I don't say it in a negative way, is, well, then don't say it that way, Patrick, is affiliated with criminal justice most of the time. And yet, well, the question becomes, what's a swimming pool doing in a college of criminal justice?
Well, the water is a lifesaver, and it is a life-saving skill. The water's democratic. It works for everybody, and yet it is the great equalizer. And so people that either have not had a chance to swim or have gotten in trouble because of swimming need to learn. Even our service forces, especially our police, our firefighters. And I have trained some of the scuba team, the police scuba team here. The firefighters come and do their aquatic training here, and we have done this over the decades, the 2 decades I've been here.
Now, you are the director of the aquatics program at John Jay. What does that entail?
Well, I help oversee all the programs. There are people that run the facilities and chair, but whenever there's a question about the pool, mostly the water is too cold, or there is something. I get that one.
I mean, people complain here at John Jay?
Never.
I can't do that.
And so when I when I started teaching at John Jay College, there was just one course.
Right.
I began developing a beginner, an intermediate, an advanced swimming course, water aerobics, and then our women's swim team, which is thriving. But perhaps most valuable was the community outreach, because a swimming pool is for everyone. And we have, in its 10th year now, have a program for the Lincoln Square seniors who have an opportunity to swim and exercise so that their numbers go down. Their weight goes down, their blood pressure goes down, et cetera. We have fun, and we share the pool equally. The continuing ed program for triathletes and people that run, swim, and cycle. For some people, the triathlon might be steam shower and sauna, but for these guys, they want to swim better. That's the X factor.
Surprisingly, I mentioned at the top of the program, everything at John Jay becomes linked somehow to criminal justice agencies in the criminal justice world, and that actually happened here at the Department of Juvenile Justice?
Absolutely. Life's lessons, I believe, can be learned right in the pool. Teamwork, perseverance, discipline, sportsmanship. Your relay partner is as good as you guys are, and sharing. Of course, having fun is okay too, and I think that for the youngsters that I grew up with in the Lower East Side, many of them are similar to the youngsters that may have gotten caught up in the criminal justice system, both young women and young men. We're talking about teenagers as young as 12, who come in, and they come to the pool, which is the program that I've wanted to do for 45 years, and learn to swim and have fun and learn life's lessons and even share their story with me. This is a very recent story with a group from Boys Town who told their story.
What's Boys Town?
It's one of the detention centers for the teenagers, again, who are between 12 and 17. And some of them are released and go home and write that note to me. Some are sentenced, and one, in fact, had just told me through his counselor that he could have even gone on parole or done his 18 months, and he decided to go and do his time because there was a swimming pool upstate, and he said he loved swimming so much he wanted to do that, get that out of his way, and start his life clean.
Now, some of the juveniles you work with, let's frame it a little more. I want to get into some of the techniques and some of the philosophies you have, but there's something called the CARE program. What is that about?
The CARE program is the acronym for the program that I have been able to create and develop here with many other people's support.
And
CARE
not
means
C-A-R-E, it's K-A-R-E.
K-A-R-E.
Right.
So it's Kids Aquatic Re-Entry Swim Program.
Say that one more time.
CARE, K-A-R-E, Kids Aquatic Re-Entry Swim Program. And what they are doing, learning life's lessons, working together, is re-entering, hopefully, society.
Now, who are the, should I say, children here or young adults that the program serves? Give me the demographics of the program.
There are a dozen detention centers for women, for young women, and there are many more, 4 or 5 times that for boys throughout the 5 boroughs of New York City. They are residence
What's
homes.
a detention? Okay, you're just defining it.
It's not a conventional jail that perhaps some, if they don't do the program, so to speak, might go to Rikers Island Juvenile. They are in a home. It's called a residence home. And they are residents there. They are not called criminals.
How do they get there, though?
They've done something wrong through society, through the criminal justice system. I am not told the specifics, but some of it is when you see the youngsters, you would say, how? Just have gone astray. Perhaps they don't have a conventional family life. They're hungry, they need fast money, et cetera, et cetera. And these are stories that you read about in the paper, you see, but they are minors. They are not of age. And so they are brought into these residence homes where they are treated well. They have their own space, programs, much like what I've created, are available to them. But on Saturdays, usually they don't do anything. And that is why this program is so special, because on Saturday, they come swim with us at John Jay. And it's a beautiful bond. And that's what it's about. I come in and, hi, how are you? They wave. They bake cookies for me. There's one young lady that was kind of tough, and the young girls were tougher than the boys, which was surprising.
Why do you, that is surprising.
I think teenage girls, it's a tough time. It's a body image. It's a bathing suit. It's girls not being nice to other girls. The boys work much better together with each other. Although as the girls were able to mainstream through the program, they not only got friendlier, but one who was kind of tough was a good swimmer. And we got her doing flip turns and strokes. And she said, I want to come to John Jay and be on the swim team. And that's a good luck story. Clean up your act, get to school, you know, and we would talk about this.
Are those the success stories? And I'm not going to have you talk about something that didn't work out, but clearly there must be people in this program and other similar programs who are not buying your act. What do you do? Who really don't, you know, they're putting on their own act, if you will.
Absolutely.
Right. How do you handle it?
Many come in with an attitude, they don't have their suit. I always have an extra suit. One size fits most, you know, so there's no excuse. We give them John Jay caps and goggles to train with so that, you know, they have the state of the art. We give them a book on water exercise and swimming for total fitness so that they can study and read and get better. And of course we play water volleyball, which is the great fun, and they create their own teamwork. And that is what the people that come into the pool and don't swim watch. They're watching their friends have fun.
Sure.
And so if they really don't want to swim or they don't want to borrow the gear, which is always new and clean for them, I go, well, maybe next time. And I'm never, I'm always, you know, positive reinforcement, never saying, oh, well, you know, too bad or tough. It's like, maybe next time, if, you know, if you feel a little better later, you'll hop in. After every lesson, we have healthy snacks and water and something, you know, MBJ's cookies or something.
So it's a really positive experience.
So it is a positive, fun experience. And at the end of the program, which was very, very profound, our DJJ Commissioner, Mr. Neil Hernandez, comes and actually helps to give and deliver our American National Red Cross, of which I'm a water safety instructor trainer, level 1 swim card that I've signed for them. John Jay is on here. Their name is placed in the Red Cross files forever. And some of them were saying, well, can I become a lifeguard? And I'm going, absolutely.
Yeah, the city's usually pretty short of lifeguards.
Exactly, exactly. And the pool where they train at is just across the street. So we have a direct connection, and they're really good. Some of the swimmers and the young men and women, and particularly the boys, were really strong swimmers. They learned like that.
That's an amazing story. You mentioned something in your methodology, I read it in a blurb somewhere, phrase about teaching that I found really interesting. You call it teaching by distraction. What does that mean?
Instead of giving them a conventional lesson, because the water is the great equalizer and it works for everyone, we make it fun. For the girls, we did some synchronized swimming. We did a little Esther Williams revival and a little attitude, which they all had plenty of, so that we would stretch.
How does that attitude come across? What do you mean?
The girls were very, 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 very good at that. I brought their music to the pool, and we would play contemporary music. They had great voices. I said, please sing. I could have recorded a new DVD with them singing. It was great. And, you know, always encourage them to participate, so that when the boys started swimming, I'd go, well, how old are you? It was always someone's birthday, because we had a lot of people. We had 4 different groups coming every Saturday, so coming in every hour and a half or so. We're in there 6-7 hours every Saturday. Well, let's make believe it's your birthday, but it's an underwater birthday cake. So we have to extinguish the candles underwater, and we would learn the breathing mechanism. Because for many people, I mean, you know too, Pat, as well, people say, I can swim, but I can't breathe. When you get short of breath, nothing else matters. So we would start our breathing process, and I would give them homework to do in the privacy of their own residence.
So it's a lot more than splash. You know, I started not being sophisticated in the disciplines in which you work. This is a lot more than just splashing around the pool for a couple of hours. They learn some serious things. Exactly.
It is definitely perseverance. They would write comments and share comments anonymously at the end of every lesson. I had fun. I finally learned to breathe.
You hand out teacher evaluations after every class?
It's a verbal evaluation. It's a chat.
Right.
Well, what did you learn today? Did you have fun? I loved the fins. I flew with the fins. The volleyball game was great. You know, we won by 2 points, and they would monitor that. I finally floated on my back, and so the shriek of joy of just doing that is priceless. It really is.
You've been doing this kind of work for a long time, and yet you still seem enthused and surprised by elements of it. What surprises you most about your experience at John Jay?
Everybody is unique, and because I wanted to do this program for so long, and I had resistance even here to do this. I had taught at a place called Spofford, which is a women's detention center that's heavy duty in the Bronx. We had a great swim program there. And then the person that I knew there had worked here part-time. I had bumped into Sonia Galarza in the, you know, criminal justice meetings that I attend, and I try and learn as much as I can. And she said, let's do it. So she says, we have no money. I said, we don't need money. I'll just do this. And last year, just a year ago at this time, I did the first clinic for nothing. I just did it. And, you know, we even had to pay our lifeguards and our support staff. Shortly after that, the commissioner, Mr. Hernandez, got wind of this and said, let's do a pilot program. So we started a 6-week program last spring with the girls.
This is under the aegis of the CARE program now?
This was the CARE program. And then I was actually even asked to be the keynote speaker for the caregivers in June of last year, which was really special, because it's the people that come to the pool that take care of the youngsters. And, you know, if they're not behaving, they can get cuffed. You know, they're definitely punitive when they need to be. But I try always to just, you know, have a positive impact on, you know, no running, no jumping. Some of them would be, well, we want to go in the deep water, but they couldn't swim necessarily, and to understand the safety.
You're dealing mostly with inner city children and young adults, teenagers. Do a lot of them arrive as swimmers, or do you have to start from? It just occurred to me they're urban youth. They haven't been around too many swimming pools.
Exactly.
And the rivers here are pretty rough. So I mean rough in the chemical sense too. What level do they have of competence when they come to see you at first? You really have to start from scratch. Is where I'm going here.
Absolutely, it is a diverse background. Most think they're better swimmers than not, but every so often, particularly this one young lady I mentioned before, and a couple of the boys said, well, I know how to swim, and indeed they were good swimmers.
How did that happen?
Well, the Parks Department facilities, you know, perhaps were a place where they did get a little instruction. Every so often one would say, well, my father has a pool, but we didn't know when she was going to get back to there.
And it just occurred to me that they can't, it's not a situation in which, and I'm talking here about honesty, in which these kids can bluff. I mean, either you can swim or you can't, and I imagine some of them have gotten through this portion of their lives successfully by bluffing, but they can't do it here, can they? Can't kid you.
Exactly. I know before they get in the water because it's a body language.
What do you mean?
They have some towels. They're not dressed. They forgot their suit. When the men have their period, I know they're in trouble.
But you've heard the same. You've heard all excuses before.
I've heard the same excuses. I would hear, "I'm allergic to the chloroform," and I'd go, "That's too bad, but there isn't any in here." So, if the same woman would have, young woman would have her menstrual cycle 3 weeks in a row, you know, I knew there was at least one of those times or two that, you know, she was kind of, you know, telling a white lie.
So you actually start out with people who cannot swim at all and
Totally.
somehow equalize all these folks?
Exactly. We do have a wonderful support staff of lifeguards and men and women of all diverse backgrounds, some who are Spanish-speaking, Afro-American women, you know, Caucasian men, so that the cross-section of the youngsters is met through exactly who we teach.
How long has this program been in existence?
Well, as I said, just over a year ago was the first pilot, and in December of this year we started our full complement of boys and girls.
How many people are we talking about? And I got one more question, but I'll let you answer.
Sure,
that one.
we have 30 or 40 people every week coming in.
Now, is this just at John Jay, or is this sounds like the kind of thing that should be and give you even more work to do?
Well, it's at John Jay because we have the support system and staff, and I'm here, and the pool is here, and it's very difficult to get a physical swimming facility private. There's no one else in the pool.
It sounds like a wonderfully therapeutic, important and successful, and just so many positives come to mind, and education, that situation I mentioned about how, well, you call it the great equalizer before, how you can't fool Dr. Katz. At some point, if you can't swim, you're going to have to say so or slip beneath the waves.
Well, people always
those
say,
are important lessons.
So important. I can swim, but I can't breathe. And then they go right into what I call the Coney Island East River crawl. Or
what?
And they thrash their head wildly from side to side, and in less than 2 minutes,
you've seen me swim.
So I know very quickly that it's the breathing. Actually, one young man who was 12 last week came in, and he was a little guy. He wasn't 5 feet. And he says, "Do you have the floaties?" And it was just heartbreaking and touching because he knew that he couldn't swim. He wanted to learn, and you know, one of our lovely young women that is our lifeguard was able to, you know, work with him privately to get his feet off the ground and actually float.
It would be heartbreaking if, in the minute we have remaining, or less than a minute, if I didn't give you more time to talk about those books. You're an author as well, so let's get a book plug in here before we say goodbye.
Swimming for Total Fitness is my first book that was written almost 30 years ago with the students at Bronx Community College, the same students that were successful and didn't get into the DJJ program.
And it's published by?
It is published by Random House Broadway Books. And my recent book with Random House Broadway Books is Your Water Workout, which has Tai Chi, yoga, and Pilates. So the relaxation response and the water works together.
You can't fake it in the pool, and you can't fake it here either because we're out of time, and there's no way we can just continue because everything would go dark. So I'm going to stop there. But Jane Katz, it's been really a delight talking with you. Thank you for being here. And thank you for watching. I'm Pat Collins, and I'll see you next time.
See you poolside.